War Within Season 1 from Death Threat, how everything works. I'm not sure. Grim Battle, how to best prepare for Season 1. Siege of Baralus. But does he have a
Hey,
folks? This is fuck Kalani.
hey,
Silken Raid. I don't need boss raid.
hey, folks, this is Kalani.
Please,
Hey, folks, this is Kalani.
Please, I just wanna complete guide every mythic plus. Maybe this one.
Hello guys, it's Laserbeast here with
Sounds good. How to get best PvP gear. Level in 2 hours. That's actually fun. Is it? Oh no, it's not it. I watched a video this morning of a guy just leveling through flying. That's gonna be a good, interesting stream actually. Gonna take a note of that. Keybuying Masterclass. No. The entire story. No. What was the point? No. That's no. Mythic Evoker Guide. The pilot. No, I don't want to watch The Office. Fast and Easy Season 1 Gear Guide. How to gear up fast. I want a recent video. I'm gonna watch this probably.
Hello there and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about
Mr. GM, calm down, please. Calm down. 590, that's 11 days ago. I want a recent one because I want to make sure that guy follow ups recent news. Is Yummy TV have a TV, a YouTube video? Sometimes yeah. Okay, and what about Growl? No, that's his name. Dorky. Protection Warrior. It's gonna be interesting. We'll watch that. We'll start like this.
a gearing up guide for Season 1 of The War Within. So Season 1 begins on the 10th of September for US and the 11th for everybody else. This video is going to go through all the different sources of gearing in Season 1, so use the chapters to navigate to the relevant ones for you. First we'll look at the upgrading system. So this will work exactly the same as it did in Dragonflight. We just have different stones, they're called Valor Stones this time, not Flight Stones, and we've got different types of crests called Harbinger crests. So you can see the different tiers of crests here and from which types of content they drop from and the item levels that you can upgrade things to. Thank you to IMX3 on Wowhead for creating these nice tables. So you've got Valor Stones and the Flight Stones.
I don't want you to explain to me intro, upgrade NPC location, dungeon normal heroic, tier set vendor. No, fuck that.
about delves, and more specifically, we're going to go through a complete guide on how to gear through delves in Season 1 of The War Within. Of course, in Season 1 of The War Within, delves will be expanding up to Tier 11. And in this video, we're going to break down all of the item levels, everything you need to know to get the highest item level you possibly.
Because I know we're not going to gear. Are we going to gear much into dungeon like M0? Because if we look at, let's see gear. Many different sources of gear, loot scarcity in the war, and loot scarcity in the war within. Targeting your absolutely best gear isn't entirely realistic. Instead, we've created a best in class list from the ideal Fear Warrior drop found in the War Within launch from M Plus Dungeon and Raid to help you decide what to prioritize. Best in slot gear. Super laggy when I always log in. That's fun. Not invisible. Oh wow, I logged in just for one goal. Fuck me, man. Necrotic Wake, that's M+, Stonevol, M0, I could, Catalyst, we're not gonna watch that right now. It's just tier piece. You can Catalyst or get it from anything. I'm trying to see if I'm gonna actually craft myself a Charge Claymore. That's for sure. Grim Battle, Ascara, City of Echoes. Dungeon. That's a boss. Raid. Dawnbreaker. Okay, so the belt is Dawnbreaker. The back piece is Dawnbreaker. Is Stonevolt. Neck is Stonevolt. So Stonevolt farm for sure. And then the rest is Raid and M+. Interesting. Right? Arakara. No. True. We have to run Arakara as well. All right. Let's gather up on some gathering. This.
Possibly through delves in Season 1. But before we jump into that, guys, I do want to shout out my Twitch, twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to see me stream World of Warcraft, War Within, all that good stuff, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM every single day. Right, so yes, Season 1 of The War Within begins extremely soon on September 10th or 11th. Depending on your region. And with this new season, obviously comes Mythic Plus and Raids, and now it brings new difficulties to delves. But let's start off with a little rundown on what a delve is. So if you haven't been diving into delves already...
Alright, don't explain to me yet. I want to watch something here. I'm gonna go in Dungeon. Current season. Okay, War Within. Arakara, and then we're gonna go Mythic, and then we're gonna look at first boss. Or we're gonna go Warrior, and doesn't matter, all slots. So that's 593, but on Veteran track, which is good. 593. So they're all 593, but I think it's gonna be better off with I'm excited to see what the gear is gonna come from Delves. Because I'm gonna need Arakara, Stone Vault, and that's it. That's it. I need the neck. And I need the belt. And the back piece, actually. Crazy. So at least once a day, I'm gonna do Stone Vault, Arakara, and that's it. Right? Stone Vault. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it on the list. M0 dungeon needed for this. The rest is Catalyst and Raid. So it's dungeon needed for this. During, well, let's say pre-bis for M plus week. Ara, Trinket, Stone Vault, Belt, Back, Neck. Right? It's gonna be all 593. To farm once a day. That's it, right? Grim Battle is M plus. Those are raid. That's raid or whatever. The Dawnbreaker. The Dawnbreaker is the belt. Shit. So it's Stone Vault is the neck and back. Neck and back. Dawn Breaker. Belt. But which sucks is fuck, Dawnbreaker is so bad, but I guess I need to get used to it because it's gonna be in the season 1 rotation. So you can even put get used to. Oh yeah, season 1, and plus rotation war within. Arakara, which is fine. City of Treads, Stone Vault, and the Dawnbreaker. So that's why it's in the best in slot because those are M plus whatever. So that's fine. So get used to those 4. Okay. Delves. So I'm gonna do normal and try to farm heroic as well. I can get neck, shoulders, catalyst, cloak. I can actually look at who drops what. Complete all weeklies. Delve. Delve is like what? Like 8. I think it's 8. I don't have my vault, do I? I don't. Between 8 to 12, actually. We'll see next week. Hmm. Why does it show like that? Okay. Item set, raid, Kazalgar. Those are the. Oh yeah. I don't know if the rare is up, but we'll look at that. All slots, so I can get the rings. 603 rings, and then you have the belt, the pants, and the waist. Pants are OP, and then there's rings for 603 as well. Rings for aggregation of hours. We'll put the weekly rares. Complete all weekly quests or pickup and complete all weekly quests. Look if epic week elite rare world plus available. So say 1, 2. Look if weekly world bus available. Kill. Delve strategy. Server up. Whatever. 1, 2. Delve is like 3. Because I'm gonna complete or do normal and heroic for sure this week. Not complete, but I'm gonna farm normal with my raid. Probably killing everyone. Maybe I don't know the last boss if it's hard. It wasn't tested. And then we're gonna complete or do as much heroic boss as possible, hopefully. And then which of the one I don't have, I'll try to get it in pugs or with limit raid. Okay. Then oh, two-ended weapon. First boss. Has a lot of loot. Offhand, shoulder, back piece, waist, trinket. Oh, I need to look at if the trinket is good. Trinket. Treacherous transmitter. Receive critical instruction from where in the twisting to reveal your next task. Probably needs to complete it to gain. Yeah, but I don't know what's the task. We'll look at what task it is. Let's look it up right now.
Hello everyone, Nachel here, and as you always know, you can like my videos, subscribe in any of the cast that is on the site, and become a member if you're interested in my content and want to support me. Now, let's begin. I'm going to talk about one trinket that it's likely to actually stay like this. Trinket it is that only has 3 and or B. We have done extensive tries on this. You can also do something that is a kind of double trinketing again, but I'm not going to talk about that because it's going to get fixed. And you know they don't really like that actually happening ever again after the whole Shara trinket fiasco. And 3 times it will TTS it to you that you have to jump 3 times. But if you get the soap or the orb, it will say go soap or orb because there is no way to track or to get any information of which until have buff. Now you also have 15 seconds to do this, so you can do it. Of course, before you really want to get
Not much going on, I guess. So that's also on the which boss? That's not follow P mid. And then it's a and then Mad Queen's Mandate or Arakara. So Arakara is fine, we'll get it for sure. So that's good. Where is the trinket that says that is business love? Take what is rightfully yours, gorging on your target since to deal 3 million shadow damage and healing you for 445,762 over 2 seconds. Damage and healing increase based on the target mission health. Missing health. Cooldown reduced by 60 if this effect kills the target. That's on Nexus Princess. Okay. That's 597 on normal. Raid Finder is going to be also available, I think, for certain boss. That's 584, which is complete Garbaggio. But Veteran Track, which is fine, I guess. Actually, like what 593 at the end or 606. I think it's 606. 593 is 4 out of 8, I think. Right? Uh, 610 actually. 593 is 8, so 610 is Veteran. Which is fine, I guess. Alright, so we'll go and do three complete far. I'm gonna look if I do come have LFR before or after, depending the order. Then you have delves. Whatever, I'm not gonna note which bus gives me which, so that's fine. We'll put 4, 5, Raid. Raid time. Normal. Tuesday and Thursday. I'm not gonna put the days because I know I'm rating Tuesday and Thursday, but raid time progression, delves. Bam. Bam. Okay. Normal is 597 to 606. 597 to 606. And heroic is 610 to 619, which is interesting. Okay, that's fine.
They are currently available in tier 1 to 3 on the preseason patch. Now, delves are designed to be a new pillar of World of Warcraft gameplay. They have no timers, no restrictions. You can do them alone or up to 5 players with an NPC companion. These are inspired by things like islands and Torghast and scenarios, and it basically feels like a solo dungeon at times if you are going in by yourself. There's various respawn points throughout the delves and powers and different fun little things that you can do to make them feel a little bit different from a dungeon. And as mentioned, there are different tiers of difficulties. These do go up to 11. And as you probably know, tier 1 to 3 is now available with early access and launch. And then with the start of this season, tier 4 to 11 will be available. To unlock the next tier of delves, you will need to complete the previous one with revives remaining. Yes, you do get revives similar to Torghast, but it's not as punishing. Revives do start at tier 4, and you'll have 5 in total. Losing all your revives in a run doesn't end your run, but it does affect the rewards at the end, and all of these unlock.
All right, delves. Progress through delves to tier 8. Don't you do bountiful delve before tier 8. I'm gonna probably do a bigger nodes. View nodes. Now it's fine.
Are across all 12 delves. So if you unlock tier 5 on one delve, that'll unlock it across all of the delves. So yeah, just a little rundown on what delves are and the difficulties. When I start using different words and things, maybe it'll make a bit more sense, but I'll try and explain it the best I can. So let's talk about gearing. So there are two different types of delves that you'll see on the map. You have your regular delve, which will just be the normal entrance on the map, and then there'll be ones that are bountiful. Now, I'll go a little bit more into detail with bountiful delves later on in the video, but you do get 4 of these per day, 1 for each zone. But yeah, again, we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's talk about regular delves. These are going to be the ones that are going to be available all the time that you can just run endlessly if you really want to. Now, all 11 tiers of regular delves do drop Valor Stones and Crests. Now, the specific crest type does depend on the tier. So tier 1 to 5 will be dropping Weathered Harbinger Crests. Tier 6 to 7 will be dropping Carved Harbinger Crests, and tier 8 to 11 will drop Runed Harbinger Crests, which is the highest crest that you can obtain through delves. All tiers will also drop Valor Stones, and the amount of Valor Stones will vary on the difficulty of the delve, capping out at tier 8, of course. Now, if you're a bit confused by crests and Valor Stones, they're essentially items to upgrade your gear. This is a system that came in Dragonfly. It's a little confusing, but once you kind of get your hands on it, it does make a lot more sense. Now, these regular delves are repeatable, and you can keep doing them as much as you like, and they do have gear drops. However, the gear does cap out at item level 554 at tier 3. So any other delve you do, even in like a tier 11, will still drop that item level 554, which honestly is not very good. It's something you can get right now in the game, and it's just not going to be worth your time. So really, the reason you'll do
It's a big problem that they actually just drop 554. Like, it's good for vault slot, for actually very decent gear. It's good when they're bountiful, when you have the key. But if you just run key just for fun, it's actually just shitty gear. Should be way higher, at least like veteran track or something. Like, there should be no reason why if you do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like it should be capped at some point, probably tier 8 like everything else. But like, why only 554? Like, there's no reason. Like, give us some actually decent gear. Like, increasing by a level of tier and then cap out at tier 8. Then people would just farm tier 8, which would they already do. But at least they would have some gear. And for people that don't do Mythic Plus, they have M0s, which is 593, but you could do 584, let's say.
do these regular delves is just going to be for Valor Stones, crests, and of course the cosmetics, which do drop. So let's talk about where the real gear comes from, and that is bountiful delves. So bountiful delves are a type of delve which rotate every single day. These contain a extra chest at the end of them, which requires a restored coffer key to open. Now, restored coffer keys are a new currency which have come in the War Within and are rewarded from a bunch of things like weekly activities. You can get different shards from world quests. Once you get 100 shards, you get another key. You get them from Renown. You could even purchase them when you've advanced enough through your Delver's Journey, which is like the season.
I think I have like 9 keys, I think. Maybe a little bit more. I think it's 9. But then you could probably have 1 or 2 more during the week, right?
Progression for delves, and you can also get them from the World Soul Memory event, which is kind of a gameplay loop that you'll do where you get an item from the end of a bountiful delve, you use that item to be able to farm shards and valor stones, and then obviously you get another key from that and rinse and repeat. I do have a full video on the World Soul Memory event as a gameplay rotation, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. But yeah, essentially you've probably got a few of these keys already. And these are used to open chests inside Bountiful Delves. So Bountiful Delves will be marked on the map as a glowing entrance, and when you go to the entrance of the delve, it will also have a golden portal, so you can't miss it.
Oh yeah, learn thinking. 5. Learn brought thinking warrior.
When it is bountiful. Now, completing a Bountiful Delve does consume it, so you want to be doing this on the highest tier that you can possibly do for the best rewards, because if you do it on a tier 1, it will consume it and you won't be able to do it again. Now, as mentioned, these are 4 per day, so you can wipe the map of them per day, and then the next day you come along, there'll be 4 more ready for you to do. So there's going to be a lot of these for you to do, and you're going to need a lot of keys. Once you complete a Bountiful Delve, you'll have 2 different types of chests. You'll have a blue chest, which actually drops these same items from the green chest, so you don't need any keys to open this, and this will obviously drop various crests and values of Valor Stones, and exactly the same as the chest from the regular Delve. The other chest, and the more important chest, is the Bountiful chest. Now, this will require a coffer key to open, as mentioned, and this will have different levels of gear depending on the tier you do. So if you do a Bountiful Delve on tier 1, this will drop 561 Explorer gear, tier 2 is 564 Explorer gear, tier 3 is 571 Adventurer gear, tier 4 is 577 Adventurer gear, tier 5 is 584 Veteran gear, tier 6 is 590 Veteran gear, tier 7 is 597 Champion gear, and then the item level caps out at tier 8 to 11 at 603 Champion gear. So if you're just running Bountiful Delves and you want the best loot possible, you want to be doing these on a
Complete that first through. .603 champion.
Tier 8, Tier 9, 10, and 11 are simply just like cosmetic and achievement tiers, so I wouldn't bother too much with that. Tier 8 is where your gear is going to be capping out at 603 Champion, which is actually pretty high. I believe that's about normal raid. It's worth noting as well, items from Tier 5 to 11 can also be catalyzed into tier set. So once the catalyst is active and you have charges, you can change that into the new tier set of Season 1, which is fantastic. And a final thing worth noting on Bountiful Delves is that if you lose all of your revives in the run, you won't have the Bountiful chest at the end. As mentioned, you get 5 revives per run, so make sure you're not dying as much as possible, because yeah, you'll lose the loot at the end, unfortunately. Now that's all fine and good. You can get your 603 gear on your own if you really wanted to through Bountiful Delves. Just make sure you got enough keys. But that's not it for gearing through Delves. The final piece of the puzzle here is the Great Vault. This is where your absolute highest item level of gear is going to be coming from if you are exclusively gearing through Delves. So, per week you have 3 chances of gear. There are 3 boxes on the new world row on the Great Vault. To fill these out, you do not need to do Bountiful Delves exclusively. Credit towards this is given from any type of delve that you do, which is amazing. And even if you took 4 hours and ran out of revives, as long as you complete the delve, you will get the credit towards your Great Vault. The first one is to complete 2 delves, the second is to complete 4, and then the final one is to complete 8 delves. So what you want to be doing is completing 8 delves per week on the highest difficulty you can do, capping out at tier 8. Don't do tier 9, 10, or 11. Those will just count as a tier 8 on your vault. So the items which are actually rewarded on this row are just the...
So it's 8 delve, which is like 5 to 10 minutes, like less than 10 for sure. Maybe a little bit, you know, more time when you're lower gear, but it's gonna be good for vault.
Higher item level versions of the items from delves, which are just kind of regular gear, but there is also a chance at tier set, so you can get some tier set from this row as well, which is fantastic. And much like the loot from Bountiful Delves, this can also be catalyzed into the new tier set. So for the Great Vault, if you're completing tier 1s each week, this will give you a 584 veteran piece. If you're completing tier 2s, this will also be a 584 veteran piece. If you're completing tier 3s every week, that will be 587 veteran. If you're doing tier 4s, this will be 597 champion. If you're completing tier 5s, this will be 603 champion, which is actually the item level that we're capping out in Bountiful Delves. If you're completing tier 6 every week, your vault will have 606 champion gear. If you're completing tier 7, this will give you some 610 hero gear. And if you're completing a bunch of tier 8 delves every week for your Great Vault, this will cap out at 616 hero, which is about mid-heroic boss, which is incredible for solo gearing. I think it's the highest you could ever get through solo gearing. So really, if you're not confident doing a tier 8, tier 7 will be just as fine because it will be the hero track, so you can just upgrade that if you really want to, but you definitely want to be doing a tier 8 at the absolute maximum to get the highest level.
Yo, 616 hero track. That's like best gear ever that you can get week 1. Is it gonna be hard to complete? Probably. Especially solo, but my guild's gonna run some for sure. Probably gonna be people selling those as well, but
Of gear there. Another part of delve gearing are hidden caches, so these are a delver's bounty item. Now these have been popping up in preseason, which seems like a bug, but yeah, essentially these are super rare drops from any tier of delve. Now these used to function a little bit different on beta, but it looks like it has changed. So yeah, these are now a rare drop. Now, it doesn't seem to be capped, but as mentioned, they are extremely rare. Getting a Delver's Bounty will give you an extra chest at the end of the tier that you looted it from. So if you got a Delver's Bounty from a tier 8, once you've activated it, your next tier 8 will have a hidden cache at the end of it. Now, inside this hidden cache is a much higher item level that you would have got from a bountiful chest. The highest item you can get from a tier 8 hidden cache looks like it's going to be 610 hero, which is awesome. So if you get a bunch of these stocked up, you can get a bunch of 610 hero track gear from your tier 8. But of course, if these do drop in the lower tiers, you also get a higher item at the end there, which is awesome. So with all that being said, through the Great Vault, through Bountiful Delves, through everything, through different crests, Valor Stones, etc., what is the highest item level you can obtain through delves, potentially on your own or with a group? That is item level 619. Rey Mysterio be proud. This is hero 4 out of 6, and this is equivalent to the last boss of Heroic. Yeah, that's insane. So getting to that item level will require you to get all of your items from the highest tier, the Great Vault, and then using the crests that you can obtain through delves to upgrade it. Now, it is 4 out of 6 hero. You can go higher, but you will have to do Mythic Plus or Raid to get those extra crests, as those crests do not drop in delves. So 619 is pretty insane. Last boss Heroic through delves is absolutely incredible. It's going to take...
I don't know if they're gonna nerf it or they're gonna adjust it because they want people to play delve, but like, kind of insane that they give that much. But Mythic Plus people are gonna run delve as well. Everyone's gonna run delve. Maybe it's the objective to like just run delve because they're supposed to be fun. But I don't know if it's gonna be always that that great of a way to actually farm some gear in the future patches. Like, it seems kind of insane that it gives, if you increase it without playing any other content, just like get 619 Euro track gear. Insane. Same value for your time too. It's like the most efficient way, that's what I'm saying. So it's so efficient that that's what everyone's gonna do. Efficient in time and probably efficient in difficulty. Because supposedly tier 8 requires like 600 eye level. But you probably can complete it beforehand, and if you're a group of people, it's probably super easy. So it's like super efficient in every way possible. Fuck me, man.
take a little bit to get there, of course, but people will be gearing up to 603 champion pretty quickly through Bountiful Delves, especially in Heroic Week. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you're saving those keys for those tiers to unlock at the beginning of the season, because right now it's kind of a little bit of a waste to use them in tier 3s. You want to be saving those for your tier 8s. So yeah, there you go, guys. That is gearing through Delves in Season 1. Hopefully I explained it okay. Hopefully it makes a little bit of sense. Obviously you need a little bit of knowledge about the game to know what hero and champion and veteran and explorer and all that kind of, you know, the different gearing and stuff like that. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense. But essentially the long short of it is do tier 8 Bountiful Delves as much as
What's up, y'all? Welcome to my new protection warrior guide for Warfin. This
was like, oh, it's the underwater boss fight, and on PTR it was like kind of miserable back in that tier, but I don't know, I feel like they released it in a spot where it really was not painful at all to do that fight. Like, the swimming wasn't too bad, the whole fight wasn't too bad, it was tuned to not be too bad. I think that was a good example of, like, if you've got some kind of experimental idea that is some sort of gimmick boss, and you put it second in your raid, and you tune it so that nobody wipes more than 5 times to it, like, mission accomplished. Now, maybe there were guilds that did wipe more than 5 times to it that are gonna be very unhappy, but I don't know. I feel like that deserves a pass.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of takes here that aren't like super far away, but dude, a lot of people are naming some bangers. They're like Mother from Oldir. That was a fucking great fight. That was all good. Yeah, I'm having to pull out the dungeon journal, man. I'm having to. Like...
I'm in the Dungeon J already. This is something like Ilaritha Renfarel from Emerald Nightmare. You remember that?
That's up there. The only thing is that boss is cool. It's like a spider.
It is cool.
Like that's actually one of the weirdest things about Emerald Nightmare as a thing in general.
Oh no. The second worst boss ever is definitely Eye of the Jailer, without any contest, for sure. I don't like it.
It was like historically one of the easiest raids ever. Was killed way too quickly. I think 17 hours after Exorcist zoned in, it died. But oftentimes a slandered raid had a lot of very, very cool bosses in it. I actually think Ursoc is one of the best second bosses, or potential second bosses of all time. Elrith Renfarel, funny story, actually had a weird bug with it. So when it first came out on Mythic and NA, a couple of guilds went in right away before doing like any heroic split runs, and they killed Elrith Renfarel instantly because it had LFR health. I know that Easy, the guild Easy at the time, did this, and a couple others. Not like on purpose. It's just like they killed it, and it had LFR health, so it just died instantly on Mythic, and then they fixed it immediately after and buffed it to like a normal Mythic for everyone else, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Can I interest you in like Mott or Skitra?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of Mott and Skitra, so they both had weird parts of it. Skitra actually had a really cool mechanic where like you had to communicate between the phases. I think most people just had their tanks mark the ones they saw, and then one of them marked all the ones they saw, and then the one that was on the other side would just call the one that they didn't see, and then they both saw, and they would just kill that one. So that like was a cool idea that was kind of made pretty easy. And then Mott, I think the only bad thing about Mott was you died if you were doing a lot of damage. Like if you popped all your CDs and you didn't have a lot of externals or like a good healer core, you would just kind of die because you were doing a lot of damage, and that kind of feels like shit. But it was like
or infinite stars proc, and you're just gone.
Oh yeah, I forgot fucking corruption.
Why is it so slow when you revive?
Twilight Dev on a DPS, like super early in progression when you still used corruptions like that. Yeah, just instantly dead. Okay, Chronomatic Anomaly and Trilliax. As good of a raid as Nighthold is, I think both of those bosses were like a little...
Trilliax has some flavor value that is very high. Chronomatic Anomaly, yeah, that boss is kind of
whatever.
Mid.
Yeah.
I think maybe we just slam the Blackwater Behemoth for like meme value on this.
See, I kind of agree with you though. So many people would say that, but I want to say that people had a predetermined thought about Blackwater Behemoth before it was ever came out. I remember that farm period. People were like, "Oh man, like they're making a fucking stupid underwater boss," and it wasn't anywhere near as bad as people said it was going to be. And I don't know. It kind of feels bad to put it there. Dude, I'm like scrolling through these things. I can't find a single second boss that I'm like, oh, that was dog shit. They were just all fine.
We
Fuck.
could just give Blizzard a check mark and be like, all right, second boss is you. This is your.
We
You're good
could.
at this.
Do you remember what we put last time? We would have put some.
I don't remember. No, I remember the first and last boss we picked. I don't remember any of the others.
I guess we could like put another bad first boss, but like that's
Sure.
that sounds like something we probably would have done, but we do need to kind of move on from it. I'm double checking BFA real quick. I guess actually, dude, honestly, I feel like Radiance of Ashara was a worse boss than Blackwater Behemoth. Like,
Yeah.
but you know what?
Champions of the Light or something.
I'm almost positive we did this last time. I think we just did Champions of the Light second because it truly sucks. Like, if the thing is, we're trying to make a bad raid, right? So like, I guess you could do some things like this because if you put any of these second bosses in here, it wouldn't be bad. So I think you just do Champions of the Light as the second boss after you do Hellfire Assault, a truly hellish scenario.
Yeah, I mean, this raid would have the benefit of being very easy to get a box from. But
Oh yeah.
for fun value, it'd be pretty bad.
Dude, what they say, just put Hellfire Assault again. So
I'm down.
You zone into Hellfire Assault, and I think it'd be good to showcase another boss that was really bad. Okay, so Hellfire Assault. So now we have third bosses, which is going to be kind of the same, but can broaden our scope a little bit, just of what bosses would be here. But the thing is, we considered a lot of third bosses for the second boss thing. Go ahead.
We can introduce like Senarth to the discussion, perhaps here. I don't know what your thoughts are on that one. I know that's one that's pretty polarizing among my guild. It's like half people that don't mind it and then half people that hate it.
You know what? And that's one we wouldn't have talked about last time because Senarth did not exist yet.
That's true. So that would give us some value besides just Frank being an idiot to do this now again.
Yes, that would. Okay, random Frank Flame, all good. And that, but yeah, I think I would say with Senarth, I really like the idea. Like the whole like thematic, you're fighting an ice spider, you can be dragged off the edge, you can be like pulled off the edge, you slide around. They kind of just didn't hit. Like I feel like the fight, maybe they even executed on that well, but it just wasn't ever fun doing the fight. Not to mention the tremendous amount of weird bugs with like movement and being like jolted in random directions if you had weird movement skills and stuff. Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning towards Senarth here actually, because that is like technically like a fourth boss, but you could definitely do it third. I think you could make that argument.
Yeah, I think it fits in this spot because I don't want to use a second boss there. And we looked at a lot of the third bosses already, so.
Ooh, ICC Gunship Battle.
Yeah, Gunship Battle. If we want to go back to ICC, that is kind of an obvious one.
I wasn't considering going back there, but that fight does truly suck. That's like, I mean, I don't know. People remember it fondly though because like they got loot from it, and it was a good time in WoW and their lives probably, and like that meant they could go try to get a Deathbringer's Will off the next boss, and like it's just free gear.
This could be a false memory, but I think you could swap between normal and heroic like per boss back then as well.
Yeah.
I think I remember like swapping to heroic for that boss and then going back to normal for the rest of the raid.
I think there was something like that, yeah.
But I could be just entirely gaslighting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean maybe that takes the spot of Champs of the Light in the second spot, but I like loot pinatas I think were a lot more excusable back then than they are now as well. So
I mean, I don't know. Like think about it. When you kill Kazara right now, you know that Zakali Assault's already dead. And like
that's true.
So it's like as close to, obviously there's infinitely more mechanics than Loot Ship, but it's still kind of the same thing where that kind of stuff exists. But people, I don't think, does anyone frown on Zakali Assault? Like, I mean, it's like a boss for sure. How could you hate it? It just exists, you know?
That was a boss that was very hated in PTR testing as well, but another one that just kind of ended up being fine by virtue of being an early boss that wasn't too offensive.
Yeah, Zakali gets a pass because it's...
I actually don't remember any bosses in the second raid of the War Within, not War Within, Dragonflights. What's the name? I don't even remember. I did it in the Awaken raid, current season. Aberus? What's the name of the last but Raziget? I did Sarkret in Heroic. It was kind of a challenge. We wiped a few times. But yeah, I don't remember any bosses over there.
it's quick and you just get the AoE stuff real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just kind of that's what they should do. Anytime there's PTR testing for a boss and everybody's like, "Oh, testing this boss was miserable," just I don't know, make it kind of easy. You know.
Not gonna lie, whenever people do PTR in a boss and they're like, "Yo, this fight sucks," it actually ends up being good a lot, like more than you'd think. I don't know if they take that feedback or something, but that has happened. I mean, Holandris was the worst tested boss ever, and it ended up being a goat.
They did have to like redesign it though.
The entire fight, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're putting. I like Senarth. We're gonna have worse bosses than Senarth, so I will get a thing. Also, random funny thing about Senarth is during the Vault Race to World First, we had like Displate. I guess like was they didn't end up sponsoring us, but they were going to, and they sent us a bunch of Displates for the race. And what they chose to make into Displates, like they had a map of Senarth's room. Like if you were to open your map in Senarth's room and it was like Senarth's lair or whatever it was called, like they just made those into Displays. And I just remember laughing so hard because I was like, who the fuck would ever buy this? Like who would hang up a map of fucking Senarth's room in their room?
What's up, y'all? Big Snoop D-O double G. I want to welcome y'all to my house. This is the room where nobody gets to kick it at. It's called the Untouchable Room.
All right, what are we talking about here? 4th and 5th. Okay, so now this is very broad. There's a bunch of options, and I have one off the top of my head that I kind of just want to slam in there. People in chat were talking about it for the third boss. What is your opinion on ENR, the Lifebinder boss? From,
Oh yeah, that boss. You know, it has the beautiful mix of like waiting around, wiping to something stupid, wiping to like other people's job, not having anything that you can just hit, you know, and feel good about DPSing. Yeah, I'm down. Slam it. That's
yeah.
that
Look, this is so good. I pulled up the VOD just to have something on my screen here, and it's just this is the mythic world first kill, I think, of ENR the Lifebinder, or like this is Method who got world first that raid, and it's some guy standing on a pillar, and then some guy next to him saying "Yee." Just like this is like
yeah.
This is the middle of the fight. This isn't the beginning. This is like in the middle. Like this is just a total fucking meme. So yeah, ENR. I'm just gonna take a picture of the fucking Yee, and that's going on the going on the list. So that's gonna be the choice after you kill Senarth. You have a choice to go left immediately. You are going to be doing ENR the Lifebinder. Now I think it's gonna be a little competitive. I don't think there's a very obvious middle tier stinker.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a spot to start considering Zaskarn, but I guess Zaskarn's maybe a little bit later.
I think Zaskarn would definitely be in competition for like the next slot. Yeah. Okay, so what are some stinkers? So Sun King kinda from Castle Nathria. Healer fights usually bad. That one I think a little worse than most.
Prototype Pantheon.
Galacrass from Siege of Orgrimmar. Siege of Orgrimmar, banger raid. Galacrass, very, very stinky fight. Wait, what did you say?
Prototype Pantheon from Sepulcher.
Prototype Pantheon, very bad fight. How do you feel about Prototype Pantheon versus like Forgotten Experiments?
I think Prototype Pantheon is worse. Forgotten Experiments, I don't know. There's some dumb stuff to it. That boss is not great either, but
I would say Galacrass is a strong consideration for me. I'm going to move past Mop, though, to, like, more recent stuff. Did Shadowlands have any stinker mid-tier? Castle Nathria was, like, pretty unassailably good there. Enerva was kind of a huge letdown, but I wouldn't put it as worse.
Yeah, I would say that was, like, a opportunity for greatness that was missed rather than, like, a awful fight, right?
Yeah. Sanctum, Remnant, and Soul Render, both fine fights. Yeah, Prototype, definitely the weird one here. I think Lihivam is kind of would be in consideration for this spot, because I think for most people it just wasn't very interesting, but I would like hard fight back on that for our own experience.
Yeah, I mean, even if you weren't in like a Race World First guild in like Fated season, you could change your strat or whatever on this, and that was kind of fun.
Ooh, okay. Uldir, Zool. Like,
yeah, a little late in the raid maybe for this spot, but maybe you could put this here.
Yeah, it's the 5th, or no, you're right. Yeah, it would be a little bit later. But I feel like, was Zool actually bad, or is it just the trash that I'm thinking of? Like,
Zool trash could definitely go. If we wanted to put a trash honorable mention in here, I think Zool trash could be the trash that you have to kill here. Yeah.
Yeah, Zool trash.
I think we did do trash last time. I remember us talking about.
We did. We did.
The hole in Nyalotha.
Yes, we actually did. If I remember, we did 2 trash segments that you had to do. So I will add those actually. So after Senarth, you will have to do Zool trash, and we will potentially add another form of trash later in the raid just to make it extra stinky. Okay, so what are we sitting at for this? Just okay, that one. Did Hive Mind suck? I feel like it was.
I think that was okay. You could maybe make a Drestigath argument, but this is probably early in the raid for Drestigath, but maybe not.
Drestigath was really a bad boss. That was the last boss I ever played in the raid and raid led on. Was Drestigath.
You guys destroyed on that fight as well, and not a single person in your entire raid knew any of the mechanics that were going on.
Yeah, exactly, and that like kind of tells you that the boss probably sucks. I don't know, like you have to like kill random tentacles, like you don't feel like there's like, even a boss in the room, kind of like I don't know. It kind of misses on all angles there. I feel like the soccer boss was probably kind of cool, and then Legion. Does Legion have any like little mid raid? No, a lot of the stuff outside of Antorus we already talked about. Tomb, did Tomb have a bad? Desolate Host, but that's maybe you could say it's later.
Yeah, we could put this here if you feel strongly about it, because I don't feel too strongly about the ones we've listed so far. But was this fight that bad?
Okay, so the concept of Desolate Host was cool. It's just like every other fight. I think there's been a few fights like this in other MMOs even where like someone is like in the Shadow Realm and someone is in the upstairs phase, but it's the same platform but like a different phase. And if you collide with someone in the other phase, you remove a debuff. That's like the whole bit of the fight. This was a boss that looked like really, really cool going in, but then you just like 3-tanked it and you had a tank all of the ads at the door and ignore them, and then you just killed the fight. So like, and it never really, it died in like 10 pulls or less. Just like a complete
that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm going to go ahead and object it. We can think about that later maybe. I'm going to put Gallicrass here. I think Gallicrass, if anyone played back in Siege, one of the better raids, it was very bad. So let's just do Gallicrass. Cool looking mount though.
Jailer is probably the last boss of this, right? Even though I kind of had some fun on it, but it is a mess. Or it was.
But a little too stinky for me.
All right, works for me. Get some more old expansion deserving candidates in here.
Yeah.
Sort of noticing a theme with this and like Hellfire Assault as well, of like the kinds of bosses that are going to end up here.
Yeah, almost always ads bad. Vehicles usually bad as well, and then there's a fantastic combination of those two things that will surely occur later, or technically. Okay, now we have the official mid-raid wall. We can certainly make the next two fights after this also like mid-raid fights if they were super bad, but I think the elephant in the room, we have to talk about Skarn. It's so weird because I think going into the tier, everyone was super high on this boss. It was like, this is so cool. You're like fighting against time. You have, it's like there's RNG in the room, but you have a deterministic way to deal with it. I don't know, just the concept was sick. And then you do it on progression. We liked the boss. Like if you poll everyone in our guild, we enjoyed pulling that fight, but we did it like pretty organically. We did it as it should have been, I guess, except for like at the very, very, very end. But the community, like what happened after that, the killing the boss on the wall thing, basically every Hall of Fame spot was people who did the cheese strap before it got nerfed midweek for the first time ever. And then the version that it was after that, where now you have to bait it on your raid instead of the boss. It's just everything combined. I just imagine when you ask 10 years from now, people's least favorite mid-raid boss, Skarn's gonna instantly fucking come up. So like, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, again, like if we're giving old raids a little bit of extra bonus points for being old, this one's got to get some extra minus points because it's literally the most recent raid. So I agree. I think this did so much bad that it is a shame because there was a lot of potential here, and you know, there was a skeleton of a good fight that was underneath this, but the flaws were too big. The way that the nerf was handled left a really bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. I'm down to put this in. Like, I think you put this in the raid, people are going to look at it and they're going to be like, oh yeah, the Skarn belongs there.
Oh yeah, that'll farm. Yeah, you could. I mean, that's a good thumbnail even. Like that would just farm. Yeah. Let's just take a quick second to think about bosses that maybe compete with this. So like near middle of the raid stinkers. So people are saying Dathia. I think Dathia left a lot to be desired. I wouldn't put it at the level of Skarn, right? Like that.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna put Kel'Thuzad. Is it Kel'Thuzad his name? The guy in that crash. Why did I thought I crashed? I think it's Kel'Thuzad in Sanctum of Domination. That was pretty bad as a end boss. Mid, but before end boss, kind of an ultimate boss. And then it's Jailer for. I understand that it's recent, but god damn, it was bad. Especially if
I
you
think it
talk
was maybe
about
worse
Mythic.
for like Race to World first nerf timing, but the like Hall of Fame nerf timing affected a lot more guilds on Zaskarn.
Gorefiend? See, Gorefiend is like a very well-renowned good boss that people really remember doing well.
Right. Gorefiend and Anduin and Halandrus would all potentially, like, they all had guild-killing characteristics about them, right? Because they were really hard. But at least if your boss is really hard and fun for people that like really hard bosses, then that's cool, right? But Zaskarn was not that for anybody except for probably literally you guys.
Yeah, a lot of high-quality mid-tier bosses back then. Randomly, a lot of the last couple of expansions, mid-tier bosses have been really, really good. Or had been average and had a lot of cool qualities to them. They just like didn't hit. Yeah, I don't know if anything's gonna really compete with Skarn here.
Yeah, the wall spot, it's weird because it's kind of like mid-tier, but also kind of wall. Because in terms of like raid placement, there's like Council of Blood from Castle Nathria that there are a lot of people that didn't like that fight. I didn't think it was that bad, but I know there's that one is one maybe that there are people that's their pet least favorite boss.
Yeah, I think Council of Blood was maybe the worst thing they ever did. Was you
I
should
crashed.
have like really cool and interesting choices on how to kill that boss, but the ways to kill it at the end were not even remotely balanced, and that was something that I think they could have done much better. I think people ended up doing like the Blood Lady last at some point, but that was after like a lot of nerfs to it, so I don't really know. People are saying Fetid Devourer. That's an interesting take. I think that's mainly that's when the Race World first was out and it was really popular being streamed. And it was just boss that was bugged for a while. So people are like taking the opinion of something that they watched. But if you remember doing Fetid Devourer, it was a pretty fucking good boss. Like I think Fetid was actually like really solid. I would not put that there.
Yeah, it was kind of fiddly depending on what role you were playing. Like, it was one of those fights where you like a debuff spreads and you feel it's unfair or whatever. But I don't know. I thought that fight was not bad.
I would say I don't have a specific boss to point to, but I'm just going to shout out the entire middle of Battle of Dazar'alor as all being a big disappointment.
Yes. I was thinking about that, but you can't really point... Like, it's not like Rastakhan was an egregious fight on the merits, right? Conclave the Chosen, I mean, it was bad, but it was forgettably bad, and we're looking for, like, unforgettably bad bosses, right?
Like, all of them as a thing, I would say the middle of Battle of Dazar'alor, Conclave through Conclave and Rastakhan specifically, I would compare to those two together being like as bad as like, you know, Guardian and Fate Scribe, like after Painsmith. Like
I'm gonna go in the
like,
city
you know, it's just a disappointing area of the raid. But
after
I wouldn't
completion.
say either
When
of
we
them
come back,
individually are as bad as like
gonna
these
go
fights
sell.
were. So I would probably leave that off the list, but just an honorable mention that like Battle of Dazar'alor, a lot of cool bosses did not live up to expectation. I think we talk about Zool. I didn't mind Zool. I think the rogue, it basically nerfing sub rogue forever. I think sub rogues were insane on Zool, and I think their funnel was nerfed, and I don't think they were meta again for like 4 years. So that was kind of insane.
As a blaze of glory for the spec, for sure. Yeah, I was, it's hard for me to be objective about this because I was the only rogue main, and we had like 7 rogue alts in, but wow, that was like, you're just doing 20% more damage to them because you have gear and they don't, and it's just, oh man. What a rush. That was fun, but, you know, there were 19 people in the raid. They're having a lot less fun than me on that fight.
Okay. I think we're... dude, I think this is Skarn.
Yeah, I'm for Zaskarn here. I don't think it's actually... I don't know what we did last time, but Zaskarn seems better than all these other options.
Yeah, what a fall off for Skarn. Truly. Like, it was, had so much potential.
I guess my take on it is I think there were some pretty serious structural flaws with this encounter. The fact that the room fills up so quickly with traps, but then that you can live indefinitely at the wall.
Oh, that's a huge problem.
I think just disqualifies this from being in the top tiers because that just neutralizes the encounter. we were talking about it, and we were like, we actually could just do this. Like, the only problem is that if before the room is full up, the bombs will spawn in bad places while you're trying this. But if the room is literally just all on fire at the start, I'm pretty sure you could reasonably safely do 100-0 in a safe spot on the wall, and that would be bad. Yeah, I remember you and I were talking about it like right as that 3-tank thing was starting to get done, and the wall stuff, and we were talking about how like it was losing like a point or two for that, and then people took it to like the next level over the next like week, and they were 4-tank or 5-tank 7 healer against the wall for 14 minutes.
We rated the bosses in the so we did like a pre-raid guess based on design, and then we reviewed that list based on reality, at least up until that point. And it was we did the rating right before people started cheesing it, like really cheesing it, and our rating was much higher than what people would have done after that. I remember people being like, bro, didn't you rate Skarn like fucking like pretty decent on your list? And I was like, oh fuck, yeah, this is a bad time, man. It's crazy how perspective can change based on like how hard someone abuses something is because that always existed, but it just ended up being the whole fight.
Yeah, it just took over. What are we at now? We've got the pathway, the left and the right path. I think one of these should be like a single targety fight, and then the other one can be like a mechanic-y or ad fight of some kind. How's that sound?
Sure. Yeah, that's certainly fine. Also, I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm pretty sure the second to last boss is a hard lock. Like that is a.
Oh yeah.
If I remember correctly, you are unwilling to budge on the boss.
I will not be taking any questions about the second.
It's the Legion General, for sure.
Last boss here. So if we.
Okay, so my
if there's anything else you need, you got to fit it in here.
Exactly. So my only reason why I'm bringing that up now is it's possible that other bad second to last bosses could go here.
Yeah, that's fine.
So any. Any second to last boss that is like, if we're really struggling to find one here, we could maybe pick a second to last boss that like really sucked. Okay, so top of my head, I think of Sanctum when it comes.
Yep.
I think we did the Sanctum bosses maybe here. Like I think we literally might have done Fate Scribe and Guardian last time.
Fate Scribe?
When we did this the first time.
Yeah, that just like goes to show you in a very small way how bad and how much of a letdown.
Oh yeah, Fate Scribe.
Like, first 3 bosses were pretty good.
Fuck that
was
boss.
Actually a great third boss. Soul Render, Remnant, top tier bosses leading up to the mid-raid wall. Painsmith, maybe the best mid-raid wall ever. I think we did have it as our mid-raid wall on our best bosses make the best raid of all time list. And then it just fell off a fucking cliff, man. Like Fate Scribe, Guardian, which was following Sludge Fist, right? So it's like the expectations for Guardian are like insane, and then it was just so mediocre and so flawed. And then you do fucking Kel'Thuzad. So like you just remember leaving Painsmith and it's just bad. Everything is bad. But I don't know if any of them truly. Actually, I don't know. KT's really bad.
Yeah, I would be fine with any of those 3 of them in either of these 2 slots, yeah. But there are some contenders. Magmarax is one we just discussed.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but it's not a bad...
I think it's hard to at least not talk about it for this sort of thing, because...
Magmarax has grown on me, and I don't know why.
It's fine.
So we rarely do it in farm, because you only need to do 7 bosses for your box. So we've just been skipping Skarn and Magmarax for a long time outside of sales. I think really the weird thing with Magmarax is, again, it's like the expectations, right? Like, Taros is a great single target fight recently. Rashok is like one of maybe the best single target fight ever. So, like, non-end boss. And then it's like, you expect so much from Magmarax, and it just seems like a classic boss with no mechanics. That being said, if our guild is going to wipe to any boss in farm, it's Magmarax. Like, that boss just, it's like sneaky hard, and like you just randomly die. So like, I kind of give it some respect for that, and I think people have like kind of underrated its difficulty over time. It's also one of the most fun fights to heal. If you ever hear healers talk about Magmarax, they're like, yo, you're like hitting the boss for the first 2 minutes, but then it's like a very real healing fight, and that's like really fun. So yeah, I don't know if I really, you know what, honestly, if you ask me after the raid, I think Magmarax would have gone here for sure, and I just don't think I'd put it here now. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, I've also been enjoying it much more during farm than I did on Prague. We do kill it every week because we got to be cycling people in and out for boxes, so we got to kill all 9 bosses for that.
Yeah.
And but we like this boss. We basically one-shot every week. We wipe to like Sark and Echo of Neltharion, and we pick a random earlier boss to troll to every time. But this one, I don't know. It's we moved to kind of just YOLOing it and not using the weak auras and stuff, and just having people like catch and then be in whatever group they caught in, and it has been more fun during farm. So maybe it can avoid being placed on this list. But
Magmarax also had one of my most interesting dev interactions that I noted, which is I think a lot of players all the time are like, man, I wish these bosses would swap places. I know we talked about that after this raid. Like, man, wouldn't it have been fucking awesome if Rashok could have been after Skarn and like they could have truly made that fight like really hard. And they actually said that in a dev interview. Like one of the devs was like, oh yeah, just like small side note, I think in hindsight we would have like swapped places with Magmarax and Rashok. And I was like, oh, that's like really, I didn't think they would ever like say that.
You know, if I had like a crystal ball and if I could change kind of one thing, I think I would probably, you know, in hindsight, maybe swap Rashok and Magmarax in terms of their position in the raid. Just from the perspective of like, I think there were more knobs to tune up for Rashok. Like if Rashok was in that same position, I imagine you could see that very quickly turning into like a Sludge Fist-esque tuning target there.
Because that kind of just says like the person who did the later boss like kind of goofed it up. That's like an interesting concession from them.
Yeah, it's tough as well because like I think the rooms are locked in fairly early, like the layout of the raid, right? It's kind of hard for them to.
I'm playing Classic and wondering if you'd be able to help me with the problem.
Like I don't think it was a good boss by any stretch, but it.
I don't know if you messaged me. I just saw the message. I don't know if it's been a long time that you messages. But like, I'm not really playing Cataclysm a lot right now, so it depends like what kind of problem you're talking about. I don't know if you're still there because my chat wasn't open for some reason.
It has been kind of fun to re-kill, so I'm willing to give it a pass off of this list. I would be down for pick any 2 of 3 of this Sanctum stuff between Sylvanas and Painsmith TBH.
Yeah,
like,
so
all 3 of those were just abysmal for their own reasons.
Yeah, so while you were talking, screenshot and put Kel'Thuzad in one of those slots. I think Kel'Thuzad is unassailably bad. It is violently trash. Like it's a very, very bad boss. There was complete miss, was completely cheesed. A side note was a much better fight after they changed it from like the cheese method, but yeah, really, really stinky boss. I think certainly way worse than Guardian and Fate Scribe. Between Guardian and Fate Scribe, I don't know if you could. I mean, there was design issues.
Fuck me, man.
Like the main one was that it was just fucking easy.
Why is it always going away?
Like, we just got done with Sludge Fist being like it dies at the very end, and the fact that this boss just got it could have gotten one shot by like any of the good guilds on week 1 is like, that's just lame. But that's like a tuning. It's like not as, I guess that matters, but it's not like as bad as the other bosses have like huge fucking problems. So
well, Fate Scribe was also sort of tuning, right? It was like, we've made this ring that you can always do in 45 seconds, and we made the intermission 45 seconds. Like, oops, right? That's
yeah.
If we made that number a little bit different and you had to like go the opposite way when it was a short path, then
it would have been a really cool fight.
Maybe this would be a pretty fun fight, but
yeah, okay. I'm leaning towards Fate Scribe. I think Fate Scribe goes here.
Okay, I'm down for that. Yeah, I mean, I do think Guardian is the Guardian and Magmarax both definitely, if we wanted to have like a bad Sludge Fist replacement, would go there. But I think Fate
you know what? I kind of, you know what? I'm kind of with you with that. Actually, it's whichever way you want to look at it. I think every raid, if you're going to make a sick raid, there needs to be a Sludge Fist in that raid. There needs to be a Rashok on that raid. I very strongly believe that. Or a Rygolon. It can be a second to last boss. It can be a mid-tier, whatever. So you could also make the argument that, like, oh, in the worst raid of all time, it just wouldn't have any of those. It would just have a bunch of shitty, fucking, stupid ad fights the whole time. And that's what would make it bad. So, like, yeah, I think it, like, kind of fits more to have Fate Scribe there.
Works for me.
Yeah. Man.
All right.
Broodkeeper, I will say, Broodkeeper did save the, like, ad fight rhetoric a bit. Or stigma, I guess I should say. Like, because they were doing insanely good second to last bosses for, like, a really long time. Like you could name a million of them. And then they were just like, all right, let's just do Stone Legion generals, and like that was really bad. And then let's do Kel'Thuzad, the raid right after that. That's really bad. They nailed it with Rygolon, but then we see Broodkeeper, and it's just like, man,
that's not where I want to
these
go.
ad fights are just so much better when they're earlier and they don't matter. And then they actually made Broodkeeper like pretty good. You know, it was like I was thinking like Broodkeeper's about as good as an ad boss could be. So just shout out Broodkeeper for not being totally dog shit in what you were supposed to be. All right. So worst second to last boss of all time. This isn't close. I'll just let I know you're really passionate about this. You can tell the stream about the boss that goes here.
Oh, dude. That's not even the worst second to last boss of all time. This is the worst boss of all time and possibly the worst thing of all time. Stone Legion Generals is just an abomination of a
lagging so much in the main city.
It does every.
All right, let's see how much goals are we getting. Okay. So. Okay. So already I made a bunch of gold. On a calculator. See how much gold are we getting? 4,623.75. 756.45 plus 119. 4,623.75 plus 756.45, so 1960. 671. 671.44. Wait. Let's start 3266 plus 1745 plus 1681 plus 23 plus 3,995 4399 249.77 643 31.31 and then 16,000 roughly 16,000 plus whatever I'm getting here. So we have 1,800. I have gold here. 37 gold. That's kind of good though. Like I farmed a lot of bismuth, Miko Bloom, and yeah, Null Stone too. Null Stone. Oh, 99. 9 gold more. We'll see. Oh, I'm not on my main. I could have bought those two. Buy those two, 210, and then you sell them. Boom. How much would you make if you do that? So let's say you buy 79 plus 7, 86, right? 86. Price, fee, 282, 99, 282, 94, 16. I don't know if the fee is included, but let's say it's not. And then how much would you make? All right, 54 now. 54.177,262.70. 328265 fee. Then times 54. And then if you do 3299.94 times not even 3,299 times 54. Oh no, it's bad. What you bought? Because it's 9 gold per bar, so it's just 9 times 54, which is 486. That's just bad. You have to increase the price. Alright, so we're good farming on that for now. Hopefully I'm able to sell my no stone. But if not, I already have 8,000 and I can resell it. Bismuth and Miko Blue. That's super easy. Like it's 8,000 in like an hour. Hour 30. So if I farm like, yo, it's fucking amazing. 10,000 gold an hour for sure. Alright, so we're gonna learn how to tank. Let's go. Oh. Alright, so mes attentes n'ont pas changé. Je veux fake playoff. Pas encore digérer les deux dernières défaites, surtout celle à domicile. Les joueurs de staff vont devoir trouver des solutions. Avoir plus de préparation de la part de ses entraîneurs. Je lui fais confiance, mais il va devoir trouver des solutions. Je fais les performances sur le terrain. Implique beaucoup de nombreux non-renouvellements actuels. Il a aussi avoué que 1000 dépôts de gens désirant donner des abonnements. Alright, so basically nothing good came from that. Alright. I don't know where's the training dummy over here. But it's fine. Let's go out of the city because it's always bugging. We'll queue for a normal dungeon or something. Alright. Let's go. Mountain Thane. I need to make a raid. Let's do already. Raid. Talon build. Raid single target. Raid multi-target. Full AoE Mythic Plus. Delve leveling open world. Balance M plus Mythic Plus. Raid multi-target. Raid single target. Alright. Let's go import. Raid Single target Slayer. We're gonna go here, which is gonna be basically adding Champion Spear. That's it. So in that case, swapping. Where's the spear? And I guess we can put this low. And right now, when I do this, if I switch Mythic Plus after that, do I need to change my keybind as well? No. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna need a macro for the spear. I'm gonna go for macro. I think. Isn't there a macro somewhere? Spear. Do I prefer on me or my arrow? Huh. We'll see. I think I'm gonna need to do this. That's probably better. We'll give it a try. Spear. Is it? I don't want heroic leap. What the fuck? Okay, so I do this, but I do show tooltip, Ravager, cursor, Ravager, save. Macro. Who? Oh, it has to be Champion Spear. Ravager is the other one. Fuck. I'm so dumb. Here. Here. Save. Oh, yeah. That's good. Other than that, nothing else to change. No Odin's Fury, though. I noticed that, right? Before bartender 4. So let's say button unlock, this, put this here, and then what do we put at 8? Trinket. We'll see rotation. Let's look at the rotation. Rotation. No, not preseason. Fuck. Rotation. Slayer, Champion Spear. Do we take Onslaught? There's no Onslaught, right? No. No Onslaught. We do have Reckless Abandon. We don't have. We have. It's so weird. We have Reckless Abandon. We do not have Anger Management, do we? No. We don't have Ardent Fury. We don't have Ravager. Where's Ravager? No. Recklessness, Avatar, Rampage, Champion Spear while enraged, Execute, Blade Storm, Crushing Blows, Bloodblat, Raging Blow, Execute, Rampage, Bloodthirst, Improve Wolverine, or Slam. Okay. Back, back, back. Back. Fourth need. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, but I don't have anything at 8. I don't have anything. One less button, basically. Leave it at that, I guess. It's like bam, 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 bam. Okay. Then is there? Do I have not improved? I do not. Interesting. Okay, so that's fine. Then we have Talon build. Raid metal target. Go import. Plus raid. Multi-target Slayer. What? All right. So here we have Odin's Fury coming back. We do also have Dragon War. So what we could do is, because we have the spear as well, do we? Don't. Actually, it goes there. And then what do we have? See? Nothing. All right. And then what we do is raid multi-target. We're gonna go rotation. Basically champion. No. We have reckless abandon. We don't have onslaught. We have blade storm. We have thundersword, Odin's fury. So recklessness, avatar, wild rage, or with titan rage. Rampage if enrage is non-active. Thunderous war. Odin, wild rage. Execute 12 fresh. Blade storm. Alright, that's simple enough. Alright, so now what we do is we go and specialize into protection. And then what we do is remove everything on our bar. Can I not be disturbed, please? That was funny. All right. So this 7S before this A2 S A1 B. All right. That would be our save. Fury. Oh. Okay, so we're gonna watch the guide first. It's an M plus guide, but listen, we'll look at the raid boss after.
So mostly cover M plus related stuff, but we'll also go over all you really need to know about the class. Let's jump straight into the build. Starting with the talent build, you will primarily be playing Mountain Thane Warrior. If you do want to play Colossus, you can play Colossus, but Mountain Thane currently is better. These are the two talent builds I would play for Mountain Thane and Colossus. Now for the base tree, this will be the tree you'll play for the most part. We are playing Spirit instead of Roar. Spirit will do more damage. And for higher level keys, if you are worried about survivability, you can drop damage from Cruel Strike and Piercing Challenge to pick up 2 points in Endurance for 10% more HP. This will also increase your Ignore Pains. That'll be very big defensively. And for the top here, you can flex between Intervene and Stormbolt. Some dungeons don't really have much use for Intervene, so you'll need to know exactly where you'll be using Intervene. And if you're not using Intervene, you should just play Stormbolt and swap this talent for Stormbolts. For the spec tree, this will be the build you'll play most of the time. However, if you can get really high haste, I'm talking about at least 15,000 haste, maybe even upwards of 20,000 haste, you want to swap into the Fray. This will give you a lot more haste, you'll do a lot more damage, you can be a lot more defensive. It's a really good talent, and when you can get to this point, Warrior really shines. But starting off, you want to play with heavy repercussions, and later down the line, if you want to be even more defensive, you can drop Ravager for Battle-Scarred Veteran. This will be a really nice safety net. In Dragonflight, this talent was bugged and it was proccing pre-mitigation, which means it was basically always proccing and you weren't getting cheat death. But now that they've fixed it, Battle-Scarred Veteran is actually really powerful and can save you from mistakes. It's not going to be as good as Ravager, but it'll be a defensive net, and having a defensive net as a tank has always been useful, just like having Purgatory as a Blood Decay or having Last Resort as Vengeance Demon Hunter, or just like having like a cheat death trinket. Either way, this will be the general build. Oh, and one more thing, you can swap out Impenetrable Wall for Defender's Aegis for very specific encounters, or if you feel like you are not utilizing the short cooldown on Impenetrable Wall enough. Impenetrable Wall will be better for the most part, just to have a shorter overall shield wall cooldown if you're just rotating it in really well. But there might be specific encounters where you'll want 2 charges of shield wall on some back-to-back mechanic, or maybe just some very scary pull, or if you just don't know how to utilize Impenetrable Wall. And for this talent over here, you can flex for Tough as Nail if you're not needing spell block, or you can also grab Bolster. I would only swap this option in maybe a dungeon like Necrotic Wake, where there isn't a whole lot of magic damage, and maybe even like Mist of Tyrannus Life. But spell block, highly recommend. Insanely OP ability, very important for your survival. For stats, you'll want the highest item level piece, but if item level is equal, you'll want as much haste as possible, followed by verse and crit. When you can get high enough haste, you can play into the Fray, which will really take your class to another level. Now, to understand the basics of Warrior, the way your class works is you generate Rage with abilities. Rage is used to put up mitigation, and your mitigation is all shield blocking and ignore pain. Shield block works by reducing physical damage taken. The higher item level your shield is, the more damage you block, so a big item level shield is important. Ignore pain just absorbs half the damage you take. So to easily understand the gameplay, we'll take a look at my UI. I have Shield Slam, Thunderclap, Shield Block, and Shield Charge tracked. These are the 4 buttons that you'll want to keep on cooldown always. Over here is my mitigation tracked too. I've got Shield Block tracked, which shows how long my Shield Block is up for, and this is my Ignore Pain tracked to show how much Ignore Pain I have and for how long. This over here is my Rage bar. So these 2 abilities you will always want to keep on cooldown. Very important. Shield Slam, even in large AoE, even though it only does single target, you want to keep it on cooldown at all times. Thunderclap is also something you're going to want to keep on cooldown at all times. Shield Charge, this will give you shield block. You also want to keep this on cooldown at all times. And shield block, you want to at least keep 1 charge on cooldown. You can just send both shield charges too, that will stack, so you don't have to worry about if you overlap your mitigation or whatever. You can honestly just spam your shield charge and your shield blocks. However, if it is at like the end of a pull or a boss fight, you might not want to press it just so you can have it up for the following pull. But for the most part, these 4 will be pressed on cooldown. As for how you're spending your rage, your highest priority will always be spending it on shield block. As long as you have shield block up, you're good. If you ever drop shield block, it's super bad. And for the remaining rage, it could be used on either Ignore Pain or Revenge. You don't want to be pressing Revenge. Like I said, your globals are very important. You need to be using Shield Slam and Thunderclap on cooldown. If you can't press one of these 4 buttons, then you can start resorting to pressing Revenge. And Revenge can give you Shield Slam procs. So when your Shield Slam comes back on cooldown, you're just going to want to press Shield Slam again. Let's talk about cooldowns. Avatar and Demo Shout. These two are on extremely short cooldown. When starting out, you'll want to press these on cooldown at all times. Doesn't matter if you're fighting 1 mob, 5 mobs, a boss, just press these on cooldown. Use it as often as possible throughout the dungeon. With Ravager and Champion's Spear, you'll want to combo these with Avatar as much as possible, but when you can't, also try to send these on cooldown whenever possible. Your basic combo will be, you start with Ravager plus Avatar. Avatar is off of a global cooldown, followed by Demoralizing Shout, then finally Champion's Spear, and then you proceed with your normal rotation. Use this combo when all the mobs are grouped. Outside of this, pressing Avatar right after Thunderclap is a good way to get 2 back-to-back Thunderclaps for getting aggro on mobs or just like picking up mobs, and Avatar resets the cooldown on your Thunderclap. That's why this works. For defensive cooldowns, your priority will always be Spell Reflect as highest priority if ability is reflectable, followed by Demoralizing Shout, your 25% damage reduction, followed by Shield Wall, a 40% damage reduction, which can be as short as 40-second cooldown, followed by Spell Block if the ability is magical blockable, and followed by Last Stand, which is a 30% max HP boost, and finally Rallying Cry, your weakest defensive, a 10% max HP boost. So just try not to stack your defensives too much, just go through these defensives in order, whatever is available first, and if you are out of defensives, then you might want to call for an external defensive from your healer. But with this priority of defensive cooldowns, you should be fine for almost any encounter outside of like some crazy pull. Now that you've got the basics down, here are some mistakes and extra tips to go over. First is never overcap your rage. Far too often, people are swimming in rage and aren't spending it, and this will be especially true with Mountain Thane Warrior. Spam your ignore pains during high rage moments, like when you have Ravager pressed or when you're in Lust. You want to make sure you're dumping as much rage as possible so that you're getting healing from the Indomitable talent and you're getting your Avatar back quicker. Second, I've already said this, but I'll mention again, keep Shield Slam and Thunderclap on cooldown. Do not overpress Revenge. Your Shield Slam and Thunderclap globals are very important. The third tip is stay in defensive stance. It's not worth going into battle stance now unless you know that you'll literally never die. It's just 3% crit. It's not worth being in battle stance. The fourth tip is try to understand the encounters ahead of time. It's very important to know what mechanics can be reflected, blocked, or magic blocked. I'll link a spreadsheet made by Sense for all blockable and reflectable mechanics. Alright, so let's take a look at some gameplay and see how it actually plays. So another tip, starting off, when you're doing a pull, you're going to want to do charge into shield charge. By doing this, you'll get an extra 20 rage instead of just whatever you're getting from shield charge. So I went in with a charge and a shield charge that gave me 60 rage. Got a thunderclap on the first pack that lets me use a shield block, which puts it on cooldown, and I got to put up an ignore pain. So I put my shield charge on cooldown, I put 1 charge of shield block on cooldown, I've got my shield block up, and I've got a little bit of ignore pain. And here you can see I did the Avatar Thunderclap, which means I got 2 back-to-back Thunderclaps, 1 on the first pack, 1 on the second pack. That way I can get sufficient aggro on all these mobs. And here I'm just grouping up the pack. I mean, you're never really gonna pull this big starting out, but when you're doing a long gather like this, I prioritized using Shield Wall first over Demo Shout just because the mobs weren't quite grouped yet. But now that the mobs are grouping up, I used my Ravager combo. Ravager into, it would have been Demo Shout, but since I'm playing Thunderous Roar here, I used Thunderous Roar first. And if I was playing Champion's Spear, you're gonna want to do Demo Shout into Champion's Spear. So once you put all your major damage buttons on cooldown, you just go into your rotation of thunderclapping and shield slamming. You want to just put these on cooldown as much as possible. And while you're doing this, you're going to be gaining a ton of rage. With all this rage, you're just going to want to spam ignore pains and try not to overcap. And try to put your shield blocks on cooldown too. You can see here, I'm just dumping all my rage into ignore pains and shield blocks. I've got 18 seconds of shield block and 2.4 million worth of ignore pain. So just keep shield slam and thunderclap on cooldown. Demo Shout came back up, put him back on cooldown, and just keep dumping your rage. Now, another common question is, people usually ask, should you be macroing your ignore pain to your buttons? No, I would not recommend it. If you just don't really care about optimal play, it could be better for some of you players to just macro it, I guess, because it's better that you're pressing ignore pain than overcapping your rage. But if you're looking to improve and if you're looking for optimal play, I do not recommend macroing ignore pain. But that is it for the gameplay. It's really just keeping these two buttons on cooldown. Don't overcap your rage. Make sure you have shield block up. And I guess one more really important thing is to make sure you're facing the mobs at all time. I have seen a lot of warrior tanks that might occasionally let an attack sneak behind the shield block, and if you're not blocking an attack, you're taking a crazy amount of damage. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Interesting. Interesting. Oh. Interesting. Where's the web page that I had? Oh, let's grab this then. And then go here. Oh, I closed it because I want what do I want? I want yeah. Where's class? Class protection. Raid, Mythic Plus, Delve. Raid and then Plus because Delve is literally the same fucking thing. Okay. I don't want a cheat sheet. I want talent build. We're gonna keep Mountain Thane. Raid execute. We'll start with M plus build. I don't intend to. Is it the same? Plus. No, it's not. Okay. Punish build, execute build. We'll keep punish build for now. Okay, let's build up Mountain Thane M plus build. That's for sure keep. We'll put at C. We have that. We have Spell Reflection, Avatar, Rallying Cry. Okay. Shield Slam first. Actually, this at second. Avatar Armstring do we have? I don't think I want to play that. Heroic Leap. Might put at 8. But we can't change the bind. We'll see how it go. Maybe X. Maybe we want to do that. Keybind. Option. Keybind. Movement key. S. Then we go action bar 2. Enter. Action bar 2 button 7. Action bar 2 button 7 is X. That's it. Okay, then we macro it. This one. Okay. Fine. Then S we can move around because we're tanking. Okay. That's fine. I didn't see it being played. Put it if we need. Put it here for now. Bending Glory. Spell. Champion Spear. Intervene. You. I don't really like Intervene that much. Fine. Spell Reflection, Champion Spear, Charge, Taunt, Execute. Shield Block. Whirlwind. Ravager. Shield Wall. Demoralize. That's where I'm gonna go here, or maybe even here. And then we don't even have Rand. Do we play Rand? Spell Block. F. Oh, Ignore Pain. Wow. Revenge. Hmm. Shield Charge. Hmm. What do I do? Oh my god, it's gonna be interesting thinking. Not that it's too bad, but... Oh wow. I hate this button. Fuck this. Okay. Is there any mob that are... Do I have a spear troll or something? Yeah, heroic troll is AQ though. Fuck me, man. Maybe this? We do this? We do this. This. Yeah. this. And F. It is going to be interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think I need to practice, I guess. That's it. It's not overly complicated. Charge. Bugs so much. Alright. That's it for today. 2-hour stream. We learn a lot. Watch a lot of guide. That's it. See you on launch probably tomorrow. Peace.